Hello and welcome to everybody out there on the internet. It's another jam-packed, action-filled Monday where I ramble on about miniatures. This week, which is the week of Monday the 1st of October 2018, I have finished all 9 of the minis from the Savage Beauty box set by Reaper Miniatures. And unlike the box art, which had them mostly kind of as blonde Nordic types, I decided that these are some kind of Amazons, obviously. They're running around with very little clothing, so they should be somewhere warm and sunny, and so they should be really tan. And also, if they're from a sort of Mediterranean clime, which I think the Amazons, which historically were supposed to be, they should have slightly like olive skin and dark hair. And so I painted them all pretty much in the same skin tones and in a limited palette. I added some splashes of red and yellow for their clothing, some metallics. I put some blue flowers on the basis to contrast the yellow and orange tones that are and red that are all around here. I freehanded lambda symbols on their shields. They didn't line up perfectly with the way they're holding them, but you'll only notice that if, for example, if you turn this and see that the way she's holding that shield, if the symbol was like along this axis, then it should actually be slightly tilted to one side there, not straight on like that. Now, I experimented with, as I think I mentioned, a dark skin tone that used the color combinations given by Marika Reimer for painting the Thief of Hearts in her DVD set, which I'll show you in a minute how that mini is progressing. But I don't know, it came out very dark with very few actual highlights, which I suppose is realistic in a way. I added some more red to the lips and some more dark around the eyes, just because, well, that's the general idea of what's feminine. You know, a little sloppy in places, but hey, when you're batch painting, these things happen. That's why I can't paint armies anymore. I get bored, and I start to lose detail. Now, this one exemplifies a problem. I had this idea that the portions I painted yellow should be actually leopard skin, like leopard print. But I decided against it in the end because most of them, this like skin tight outfit she's wearing, didn't know they had lycra back in the day, is really the only surface large enough to actually paint a pattern like that. If you try to paint leopard spot something smaller, like let's say her bikini here, that it just would look weird. It just, you know, wouldn't look like anything at all. In general, you can't really paint leopard spots on something, a pattern like that on something this scale isn't going to look good. And I know that if you go back a while, I painted some actual leopards, and I painted those with spots. So am I contradicting myself? Well, no, because if the model is a big cat, then you have context, then you understand what it's supposed to be. But if you just paint some dots or blotches on a piece of clothing, on a human miniature, it's very hard to interpret. Because you can't really make it look good. You know, unless, well, you can paint it really, really tiny to scale, and then you need a magnifying glass to understand what it is. But otherwise, yeah, you just live with what you got, and oh well. Now, I think they turned out okay, considering again the fact that I get bored with batch painting very easily. I did get through them, and hopefully in the close-ups they won't look too garish or bad. And yeah, we're moving along. Getting stuff done and out the door. That's always a good thing. And I don't mean literally out the door, I mean onto my display shelves. Ah, well, let's see what's still in the works. So let's see what I'm working on. Now, this wizard, not that much has happened since last time. I've worked more on the black, and that's about it. I thought I'd finished the eyes. I didn't realize now I just paint the blacks of the eyes. I still need to add the white in the pupil. Oh well. I'll take care of that soon. Bit more work on the Thief of Hearts. You might not notice anything happening to the hair because it still looks pretty black, doesn't it? But there are actually some subtle highlights added to it. Mostly the skin tones have been worked on. Did not finish the eyes or the lips here either. Again, I thought I'd done that. Apparently not. Oh well. And then I've assembled and primed the Dracolisk. Now, the Dracolisk, I think I mentioned briefly the history of it. It was first published in The Lost Canvas of Zoikanth. It was one of those modules where Gary Gygax just adds a ton of new monsters because that's how he rolled. He actually, apparently when he played himself, and when a lot of people played back in the days, they just made up new monsters all the time. They didn't want to reuse old ones because players learned those. So Gary didn't stick much to the monster manual. Of course, the irony is that as soon as he wrote a unique monster into a module, it got added into the next monster manual. Oh well. The Dracolisk then appeared next in 2nd edition, I believe, in one of the later Monsters manuals. I didn't play 2nd edition myself ever, so I'm not exactly sure of the history of that or how well received it was. It didn't get an entry of its own. It was placed as a variant of the Basilisk because, see, the Dracolisk is stated as being a cross between a black dragon and a basilisk. Now, I found a wiki entry somewhere that stated that there's different colors of Dracolisks, depending on what color dragon is combined with a basilisk, but that must be from some non-canon source, maybe from Pathfinder or something. It's not something I have ever seen stated in any of the D&D versions. In Dungeons & Dragons, it's always a black dragon and a basilisk, and it's always has dark brown scales. So after 2nd edition, it appeared, I had to do some digging. I found a version from 3rd edition, which was not in any monster manual. It was as part of an adventure in Dungeon Magazine, one of the last Dungeon magazines in the 3.5 era, had a 3.5 conversion of The Lost Canvas of Zoikanth, and then of course there were Dracolisk stats. So there was sort of official. It never appeared in 4th edition and has so far not appeared in 5th edition. So it is not one of the most popular monsters, unlike, for example, the Behir, which also came from the same module, the Zoikanth module. That's been a perennial favorite. And I mentioned the Behir because I painted the Behir, 2 of them recently. That turned out to be a lot more popular. I guess because it's more original. I mean, the Dracolisk isn't just a classic take two things and kit bash them together monster. But, oh well. Enough rambling about that, the history of the monster. Maybe by next week I'll get around to painting some of it as well. So here comes another Kickstarter unboxing. This one from the RBJ Game Company. This is a slightly odd one in that most of what's in the box was stuff that I pledged for some. I didn't pledge for many of the new minis from the actual Kickstarter in this case, but got stuff from their old stock for the money. And they gave me a personal thank you message here, which is nice. And here's some nonsense. So let's see if I can figure out what. Yeah. So this... No, where is it? The actual Kickstarter included this miniature, which is a female fighter of some sort with 2 swords and her little pet something, some kind of animal. Not quite sure what it is. That was one of the main items from this Kickstarter. It was mostly for different skeletons, but sorry, got something in my throat. Anyway, most of the skeletons from the Kickstarter I didn't want, but I got 3 anyway. These 3 figures: the bugler, this fighter, and this dog, which is not a skeleton but has a bone in his mouth. These were stretch goal bonuses. They just came with, because I pledged for certain amounts. But what I got for the rest of my pledge money was actually 2 packs of this one. I'm not sure you can tell what it is. It's 6 crawling claws. It's hands crawling along the ground. The crawling claw is actually a monster in D&D. It's an undead hand, sort of like, you know, the thing from Adam's Family. And it'll sneak up on you and try to strangle you. It's nasty. And this is another set of flaming skulls. Now, if your memory is good, you will know that I painted another set of 6 flaming skulls from RBJ before, but they were red. And the thing is, I think I commented already back then that the flame skull as a monster in Dungeons & Dragons is supposed to be green. It's supposed to have green flames. Maybe they heard me. Maybe they saw my video. But now they've produced a set of green flaming skulls. So I had to buy them. I mean, if I've complained about this before, you know, I had to put my money where my mouth is and get these. So there's 6 of these flame skulls, 6 of the crawling claws, and then I just, for the heck of it, picked up this pack of scenery items, which is animal skulls. These are, you know, just bone skulls of various critters that you can use for flavor, put on bases, and, you know, not actual minis, but they're fun. Oh, and they also seem to have tossed in a bonus figure with my order that I didn't ask for, or I don't know. Because this is not something I usually get. This is a sci-fi mini. It's some sort of trooper with a sort of ray gun or something, and some sort of really tight-fitting uniform, and a funny sort of futuristic helmets. So, I don't know what possible use I have for this guy, but of course, it's always appreciated. I mean, I appreciate the gesture that they gave me some extra stuff. So, you know what? I think I'm going to get started on these, because, yeah, because I think at least the skulls and the hands, that is the crawling claws, I think I can, you know, whip these out, as in finish them very, very quickly. They will not take many hours of work. And so yeah, I need, because with this order my numbers for this week are negative. You know, I purchased more than I painted this week. We have to fix that, and the fastest way to fix that is to paint up these guys. That will be very quick, so the numbers are better next week. That is the plan, and I'm sticking to it. So join me next week to see how far I got. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Click like, subscribe, share it, comment, all the usual stuff. And I'll see you again a week from now. Till then, Dakian is signing off.